set to watch that thing on 60 Minutes about the drones and the UFO things. And what if it's the military doing it to make you feel like we're constantly under siege and threat, and we have to build up more to make sure that we're safe? You know, what if it's an inside job, just to keep you all scared, so you ask them to keep you safe from them? So if we're all going to blow each other up, life's eternal, grace is infinite. Bob Marley. Have no fear for atomic energy, for none of them can stop the time. Now, if you really have faith in God and you believe in the essence of the soul, you're not going to be afraid if they come to blow it all up. Right? You understand? Father into your, it gives the spirit, okay, the nature of the spirit. Now, we don't have bodies to share memories with. This is a beautiful planet with, you can have beautiful memories if you're a faithful person and you understand the natural laws given to us by infinite essence for an eternal existence that can be really beautiful if you're humble enough to submit to faith and glory and then appreciate the gifts of glory and then act accordingly. But if you watch this thing, they had a thing on the news with this lawyer in New York doing civil rights cases, and it's like, you guys do know that because of artificial intelligence, that the Constitution and other documentation written down by human forms of government are quickly becoming irrelevant. Because laws are photosynthesis and gravity. And just because you get a bunch of people to agree that money is real, and you can extort and exploit and abuse and become psychotic doing so, and it's all agreed upon by a bunch of people that say, hey, we're passionate about this, we'll fight to the end, we'll take you to court. You can go argue in a room that you made up a law and it's real. It's not going to make it so. And AI is monitoring everything. Okay. And what Jeffrey Hinton talked about is artificial intelligence having supreme intellect. Okay. You guys already had that. You had Krishnamurti, you had Suzuki. Sun Yat-sen we don't have a lot of good information on because he was murdered in 2025. And everything he left us was completely gone over by the Chinese government to make it look like he was as arrogant as the asshole in office today. Okay. With Krishnamurti and Suzuki, Selassie also got horribly corrupted by the Europeans because they did not want Adam and Eve to come from Africa and be black, and they did not want the cousin of Jesus to be a black man. It's like, but they're from the Middle East. Everybody knows Jesus. David talks about it in the Bible. You have people that migrate north and south, and they do look different because of their migratory patterns and where they live for long periods of time. But everybody knows that Judas and John the Baptist were both black men. Okay, everybody knows that. I don't understand TV. I don't know why they always have a bunch of guys that look Arabic and then speak in a British accent. It's like, what's the deal with all these people? It's just they've got apps to sell, I guess. Come see the Holy Land before we blow it up. They're wacko, And when you sit and you watch these people, you're like, okay, you do know that my grandmother's name is Kramer. It was migratory patterns from people trying to eradicate the male seed of my grandmother's people off the face of the planet. We're from Roof's line, and because we're considered dangerous, because we are the people that have the capacity to explain reality better than most people in the European, the European sector. Okay. They do the same thing. They did the same thing with Krishnamurti. His own people tried to put him in poverty and kill him off. They mocked, intimidated, and killed as many people as they could in D.C. Suzuki's life to keep him, quote, under control. Just horrible things. Sun Yat-sen was poisoned. It was horrible. Blaise Pascal, the Vatican, he's this great mind they commissioned to obliterate other religions with math and science and only certify Christianity. And he writes and says, no, it's not tangible. Okay, you have faith in infinite glory. You understand we're eternally connected by laws provided by infinite glory. And then you behave in that manner and don't worry about what happens after you die. That's folly. Okay, what happens after you die will take care of itself if you have faith in infinite glory and obey the natural laws given by infinite glory to have an eternal existence that's beautiful and faithful. So it's not real hard. So these people on TV, this is like Custer's Last Stand. And I'm watching, and I used to get upset, and I can't believe they're doing this, and Jesus always yelled in my head, you better believe it. You sound like your family. It's happening, so you have to believe it's happening. You just can't. You don't have to accept that it's valid, that it's truthful, that it has character. It's like in the parable of Juan Jesus that I read on Facebook that I have up in my closet. I wrote down Sierra Vista. The first entry into the book was money is a whore, it shall lie with anybody. Trust, honor, and character will only lie with those who are worthy. So there's very few people in the world that have trust, honor, and character. Most of them are whores that will fight over money to feel powerful and then do whatever it takes to maintain that dopamine and endorphin rush and that brain chemical addiction. They won't stop. If they were capable of self-correcting, they would. And if they were capable of self-correcting, you wouldn't have the legends about the Krishna, the Buddha, the Christ, the prophet of Islam. You wouldn't have had all this stuff. We wouldn't have the book of Revelation if people that mass murder over their egotistical perception were capable of self-correcting, and if the people that follow them were people capable of self-correcting. So it's going to have to be largely the focus on one human being in that book, because that book and the grafting of the Constitution, which is based off of trying to pass off the perception of that book. Okay, the focal point of it is on Revelation is based on one man. Okay, born in Las Cruces, New Mexico, and his communication with his family. They're like with stuff with they were saying that in my head when I went to Gabe's house. They're like, but you can't get them to do. It doesn't matter. They're faithful forms of relative interactive prayer. And I talked to them. I talked to Mike on Facebook, and I talked to Gabe, and then Gabe talks to Mike. And it's obvious Gabe's the herald, and he's the one who does more of the talking and prayer between the two. I may talk to him. He sits there and doesn't want to upset his wife, watches the football game, but he's listening, and I'm speaking, and he's hearing it. And then all the scientist people, you're self-fulfilling prophecy. All prophecy is self-fulfilled. Okay? When it's right, it's right. Judah Krishnamurti and the kids at Ricci Valley. I want to talk about empathy and respect. I'll think about it. Don't play games about it. If it's right, do it. Okay. The Lord's Prayer is perfect. You don't sit there and it's not an entertainment. It's commands to save you and your family from genocide. Okay. You can't sit there and write down on pieces of paper that Fort Knox is the value standard of the world, and people that will murder over rocks in Fort Knox are the people that will keep us all safe and keep us all strong and powerful and healthy and good. That's clinically insane. These are the same people that got together. And then you'll get that from all the Americans. It drives me nuts. Somebody else was going to build it and drop it on, what if Hitler built it and dropped it on New York? Well, that would have been a real kick in the dick, because New York was one of the main financiers of Hitler. Yeah, so Wall Street, Avery Brundage, never mind. The people that are making most of the money off of Hitler liquidating the assets in the concentration camps were at Wall Street, because there was all the banks for foreign investments that those Jews had to invest in to survive. They were all funneled through Swiss bank accounts in and out of the one thriving economy in the world, okay, that allowed Jews to participate in their economy and own land and own ownership. And that was the United States. I don't know about Australia. You'll have to ask them. I don't know their government. I don't know if Australia and New Zealand were making money off of it too. I wouldn't be surprised. Not a lick, no. So if you understand how disgusting people are when they think they got to win the fight and they're going to be the champion, and the other person's splintering the plank, that person's worse at fucking and killing people for money than I am. Stand up for a Lord's Prayer, then you won't have to worry about this ever again. Okay, so it's just hang in there. I'm working on this. It takes a long time. It does. Everything around here takes forever to do. I make a beautiful video feed. Most of them won't even load. Then when I make one, it sits there. Okay, we're going to wait here 2 hours and 30 minutes. It's like, man, if I was Don Juan, this would load in 5 minutes. And he ain't even, just a couple of miles away from White Sands. So you'd think they'd be able to get their shit together enough to go, hey, this guy's way better than any of the Peckerwoods in D.C. or Santa Fe or Austin. Let's put him on the air real fast, toot sweet, so we know chitty chitty bang bang no more. Yeah, you guys flying in airplanes, for money, killing people at the local airports that are poor. And this, I love my fans. I love poor people. I love them so much. I want to give them all the drugs in the world so they can have their suicide be painless. Yeah. And I want to support people in the LGBT community because it's decreasing the surplus population as scientists perceive it. People get a transgender operation because they don't want to have children. And then you attack them financially. That further validates they're not wanting to have children. And then they just want to die. So they buy some fentanyl, buys a gun, steals a car, tries to run, but he can't get far, and his mama cries, and his mama doesn't care because his mom is just as high as the people on Requiem for a Dream. It's gross. It's very gross. But, I'm working on it. It said I was in the book of Revelation. It said I was in the Quran. I don't know about the Abrahamic Bible. They won't let me read the Abrahamic Bible. And, and I get my dad, he says the Book of Mormon is really good gospels. But then he talks about what a charlatan and I don't understand him. I was like, how do you read if he was the prophet that got the revelation for the Book of Mormon that has all these good gospels, because it's about the gospels of the Native Americans and the Europeans. How is he a crook? And how can you be a crook and a charlatan and then write down gospels that people say these has really good gospels in them? It's like, no, you can't have a crook or charlatan. Crooks and charlatans don't give you good gospels at all. Crooks and charlatans corrupt the gospels and pass them off as Hebrew migration that never happened and has no evidence to support it, and then tries to replace all the stories of the Europeans and the Native Americans encountering each other. And that for the most part in that encounter, because these people were established and had more good people than the people migrating across. The people migrating across, it was a land grab and it was hostile and it was vicious. And when people get vicious, they justify viciousness. John Wesley Hardin. So meaning once shot a man for snoring too loud. Wyatt Earp, all your heroes. Gunslinging killers over who's going to take over the town and make money off the town. It's horrible.